And we are live. Thank you to About That Life podcast. If you are here, I appreciate you. If you're here by the chance on TikTok, and this is my first time going live on TikTok, or if you are checking us out on YouTube or listening to the audio, maybe hit that follow, hit that subscribe, do the HBO special, help a brother out. Really appreciate it. I got a great guest for you guys. A young kid. I shouldn't say young kid. You getting grown now, but you're young compared to me. But I've been watching him, watching his progression. He's here for a part 2. So I will also have a link for our first episode for you guys to check out if you want to catch up. But just really glad for him to take the time to come out here and speak his piece. So check out the intro. After that, we'll get back to our guest.
From the YBA Phoenix Fitness 24/7 basketball facility in Rockland, California, it's Bout That Life podcast with your host, Coach C. Collins and Coach MJ.
Let's go.
Hey, welcome to About That Life podcast. I'm Coach C. Collins. But I wanted to appreciate you guys checking us out, taking the time to listen. Again, hit that HBO special, help a brother out. Before we get to our guests, let me knock our sponsors out real quick. Dr. Dish is the best shooting machine on the market. I suggest you all check them out when you get a chance. They have the All-Star, the Rebel, the Facility model. Go ahead and tell them About That Life podcast sent you, and they will hook you up with a discount. Also, if you're looking for good AAU tournaments, rec leagues, basketball camps, check out Hardwood Palace, which is right next door, and also a partner of mine. If you are looking for a consistent AAU run, consistent rec run, if your kid is a beginner and just learning the game, or if they're advanced or just trying to sharpen their skills, check out Hardwood Palace. Talk to Steve or Grant, and they'll hook you up, and they'll shoot you a discount as well. With all that being said, I want to get to my guests. I've had a chance to watch this young man mature in his field, to watch him from being a player to one of the pioneers of basketball content creation to now basically he is his own enterprise, and he's finding a lot of success in it. Kids that I coach from all my grades, 8th grade, 7th grade, 6th grade, they know this young man. They know him as not only a basketball personality, but, you know, someone that they can relate to and someone that they see as someone who's in the community, which I think is huge because sometimes, just be real, when somebody gets a little bit of celebrity status, they kind of disconnect from the community. So this man has definitely not done that. Without further ado, let me reintroduce Marcellus Howard.
Appreciate you, my dog.
No problem, man.
Yes, sir. We back.
Yep. And I'm glad he's here. If you guys saw the episode before, we did do a video version, but unfortunately, tape got lost. And so this is the cool part. Now we can actually do a video of it because I have the audio for those who listen and who've been following the show, but now we'll have a video for YouTube and whatnot. So thanks, Marcellus, for making it out here.
Anytime, man. Pleasure's mine.
I just want to do a quick rundown. Again, check out the first episode because I'm not going to give you guys this guy's whole bio, but he can do a quick rundown of, who you are in the basketball content world, in the basketball world, those type of things, if you don't mind, for the new listeners who might be checking this out.
Yeah, man. Marcellus Howard, Sacramento, California. Been doing content since I was 15, 2011, I want to say I started. Mm-hmm. Now I'm officially a junior college coach. I'm my old junior college I used to play at for 2 years, and I'm assistant coach there. I do basketball reactions, basketball challenges in the backyard. That's what I'm known for primarily. I have my own basketball talk show now called Sell on Air.
Nice.
Got my own podcast, and 1/3 of the ABC crew for the next chapter. We do pre and post game shows for their seasons throughout the year. I mean, throughout the longevity of the season, however long it may be, 2 or 3 months. But
Right.
yeah.
So you're like the basketball content renaissance man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's delve into it. This is always the first question I typically ask, and obviously now that you're kind of removed from this, kind of being again an outsider looking in, what and for those who listen to the show or check us out, the main premise is always talking about AAU basketball, the grassroots level, really trying to give parents tips, kids tips, trying to sit you guys down with other people that are heavy in the basketball world and field, the basketball community, as I like to say. If from an outsider's point of view, what do you think of AAU basketball, kind of where it sits today and how it's functioning? And, what are your thoughts on it, good or bad or both? You know what I mean?
I think it's amazing, like what Drifty J, Cam Wilder, what people like that have been doing for the community of basketball has been huge because, yeah, they get 5 stars, 4 stars to play on their team, but they're bringing the community together every time they show out. It's a great event for the kids. Kids get to watch their favorite creators be involved in the community that way while watching some high-level basketball. And for the kids, they get to play against those teams. It's a good opportunity and exposure for them.
Exactly.
It's a different type of exposure that we never had growing up. We only seen it on like the Peach Jam level,
right,
really
no
on
doubt.
ESPN if you made it there.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was if you had a mixtape, you get the exposure, or if like the live streams weren't really bringing a lot of views in.
Right.
So now you have actual content creators giving these players platforms to grow their brand with the NIL and everything like that.
Yep.
So it's a beautiful thing.
And then I'm glad you mentioned that because that was kind of my second question. So with NIL and where it sits today, and obviously I just saw something recent. Again, I should fact check it if it's true, but Coleman Hawkins from our area, from Sacramento area, originally went to Antelope High School, and then obviously he was at Prolific Prep, and then now he's at Illinois. Shout out to that kid. I've been trying to make some calls to get him on the show. So Coleman, if you're listening, if you ever check this out, please come to the show. But I heard I saw a report that he got $1 million or $2 million.
$2
or something.
million.
Yeah,
$2 million at K-State.
That's crazy.
Yep.
So I'm just, what do you think now, kind of seeing the progression of NIL for these young men? Like, what are your thoughts on it? As far as good, bad, the evolution of it, what do you think?
I think it's more good than bad because for years, decades, these universities were kind of leeching on players, making money off their jersey sales, making money off their ticket sales, shipping off selling the games to certain brands to sponsor it, and kids is getting only stipends just to pay for groceries and maybe some rent, and then under the table if you got paid, what I'm saying, that's unspoke of. But yeah, I think it's huge. I think it's a beautiful thing because now we kind of have the power, and the power is back into the kids' hands, which I like it because these universities make so much money off kids that I feel like the kids should have been making money. So now it's come to fruition tenfold, and I'm all here for it. I'm 100% for the NIL because I didn't get to participate in it. I'm not a sore loser about it. I'm actually happy that it happened.
Right.
Because
and
if it didn't happen, I'd be upset.
Like I said, even before the show, but not joking, you are kind of one of the pioneers that helped put some of these things in place because it was, I guess you could, if you really want to go all the way to the origin, you could say someone like the Michael Jordans, the Bo Jacksons, they showed that, athletes, just to be quite honest, young, or O.J. Simpson, all those guys, just young black men could be very marketable. And then you guys were the next step, showing that it could be done through social media and those platforms. And so, I just kind of feel like for someone like you look back at it now and you're like, man, I really was able to spark some change in this world in a good way. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a small, very, 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 very small percentage of it. I don't like to toot my own horn. I'm just happy that the kids are getting paid now.
Good.
What they deserve.
Do you think, so that circles back to the transfer portal, right? Because obviously that's the next big thing too. Do you think kids, so let's just give you an example. Let's say kid wants to transfer because he or she might get a more lucrative NIL deal than necessarily playing time or, things like that. Where I know, again, you can only speak from afar because you're not in that position, but, I can say my standpoint on it. I'm still a basketball purist. I still say you go where you can play more so than worrying about the money, but I totally understand if you need money, you need money. Like,
Right.
that's just the reality of it. I'm a kid from West Oakland, California, grew up in poverty. I get it. You know what I'm saying? So if it were you, what do you think you would lean more towards? Would you lean more towards what's going to get you paid, or are you going to lean more towards the playtime, the system, the college, the culture, or is it kind of in the middle for you?
Here's where I stand. I feel as if people will say, yeah, I want to compete for, and win games. I think they're full of it, man. I think if you have opportunity to make life-changing money for your family that's never had money like that, and you get to go play somewhere while maximizing your physical abilities, I think 100% you should do that. Because my thing is this: if I go take a deal, let's say it's worth $100,000 to $250,000, and I go play for a team, right? I'm still not guaranteed to make it to the NBA, so I'm trying to maximize as much as possible within that 4 or 5 years that I got to play. I think that's more important than winning games and then not making it to the NBA, so then I have to go find a corporate job or play overseas for pennies on a dime. So it's like, I think you should maximize as much as possible while still pursuing your dream, because you can do that. And I think that's the best way to go about it, because if I can make $250,000 to $300,000 for playing for a team for a year, or go to a winning team that's possibly going to win a national championship, I'll probably take the $300,000 because I want to be able to set my family up just in case I don't end up making it deep in this basketball thing, and then I can use that money to then be literally not a crutch, but it will literally give me a head start on my business that I want to start. So that's what I would do personally.
Okay. And I mean, the reality of it too, what I explain to a lot of kids, the purpose of trying to get a higher education is so you are hopefully a productive member of society, making good money, taking care of your family, right? That's the American dream, right? That's what we all want. But hopefully have, wife, kids, white picket fence, whatever version that is for somebody, right? Yeah. That's ultimately a dream. And we live in a capitalist society, right? That's just the reality of it. It's those who can keep pushing forward and have innovative ideas that usually end up making it ahead. So I'm in total agreement with that. With there's this docu special that just came out talking about AAU basketball. So overall, AAU basketball in itself is like or youth sports in America is like a $40 billion industry. You know what I mean? Like, it just is. You take all the youth sports, it's a $40 billion industry, right? And there's those who have for sure capitalized on that. Like, you got the Compton Magics and all those guys doing their thing, and the Oakland Soldiers and all that stuff, right?
Right.
But then, of course, you got what I would say my AU program is kind of a mid-tier. We're in that mid-tier, not all the way top, but not the bottom. And then you got the ones that are up and coming and trying to make their way. Yeah. Do you, from your perspective, do you see that as inherently good or bad, or do you just think it's just a part of just this country we live in and the world we live in?
In terms of what, like making money on kids?
Yeah, well, just making money in general. I mean, there's always going to be some level of capitalism in everything. Now, I don't think, again, I think coaches deserve to be paid, period. That's just my standpoint. Sometimes I think parents, and I've said this in numerous episodes, sometimes I think parents take advantage of the emotions of us as people. Like, because, if I got a 6th grade kid, a 12-year-old I really like and I really believe in this kid, I'll try to cut the parents some slack on, some of the fees and stuff. But I think there's a lot of parents that try to push that envelope too far. You know what I mean? Me and Marcus Kirkland, we were talking about that with, like, you go pick a kid up for training, and then the kid says he's hungry, then you go feed him, and then the parents are like, oh, I ain't got it right now, I ain't got it. And you're like, wait a minute, so I picked your kid up, spent the gas, bought them some food, and trained them, and brought them back to you, and you're telling me you don't have the money to even pay for my service? Yeah. So that's where I'm saying that's where I think they take too far advantage. But then there's those coaches and directors and trainers who I think take advantage as well, where they're like, I'm going to charge 4th grade little Timmy $150 an hour to train with me. And it's like, what are you working on with that 4th grader that's $150 an hour? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I'm an exclusive trainer. It's like, I get that. I'm not knocking your hustle, but I don't think you got to charge $150 for a 9-year-old. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. Like, do you think there's something wrong with money being made in sports outside of professional leagues, or is there a lot of, from your observation, do you think there's a lot of corruption? Do you think there's a lot more good than bad? I'm just curious, again, because you're kind of on the outskirts looking in now.
Yeah. I have a different standpoint on that. Mine kind of goes far left field.
Okay.
So what I'm about to say, just bear with me.
Okay, no problem. That's what I'm here for.
I do think there is a sense of corruption, especially within youth sports and things like that, between getting money and just favoritism and all these brand deals coming in and stuff like that. Like, where's the money actually going? How's it being delegated? How you're treating these kids? But I go back to this. I always have this. This is what I stand on this faithfully. The service business is huge, right? And to me personally, I feel like if you're in the service business, you should be reaping the benefits genuinely, not like trying to be take as possible, but also serving. You know what I'm saying? Then God provides and blesses you, whatever the case may be, whatever your religious standpoint is.
Yeah. No.
But I think for me, it goes further. I believe teachers are the culprit, number one part of the corruption. They get paid the least amount of money to raise and watch these kids.
Right.
And then after school, then they come into these basketball programs, so it kind of filters into that.
Yeah.
So it's like these basketball programs getting paid rightfully so, as they should, but I still feel like there should be a way to figure out how to get teachers paid even more on that same level, because they have just enough or just as much responsibility as you have in this gym. But they're in the classroom with them in the trenches every day as well.
Yeah.
So that's where it's far left field, but it kind of makes sense to me.
No,
So I think
like
it's correct on both sides.
I like your standpoint, and mainly it hits home for me because my mother was a teacher.
Yeah.
She was a teacher in Oakland Public School District for 29 years. So, she's...
God bless.
Yeah, especially in
Yeah.
Oakland, of all places. She started out at Oakland Tech, then she was at McClymonds, and so my mom started out as a math teacher. And then eventually became a dean, vice principal, AD, then back to a middle school teacher. So, and she retired as a middle school. She living life, loving it. But I know the struggle. I saw my mom's struggle, and I do agree with you on that. I like that a lot. I mean, I guess, and teachers, unfortunately, teachers have always kind of got the short end of the stick when it comes to necessarily getting financially stable. And the reality is, in where we living at today, I mean, the average earning wage right now is $50K, right? Like somewhere between 40 and 50K.
Yeah.
And let's be real, we know we in California, 50K ain't cutting it. It just ain't cutting it, man. Like,
right.
I saw this meme. They said, you need 2 jobs in California and a side hustle, or be a criminal. So you got to work 2 jobs and be a criminal to survive in California.
Got you.
And I was like, yeah, you might be right. It's really.
I didn't thought of it that way.
But no, I mean it is pretty interesting. Well, switching gears, I want to talk to you about the WNBA.
Yeah.
And obviously the popularity of that. What is your overall take and thoughts on that?
WNBA, man, it's tough because they put a good product out there. I don't think they market it well.
Okay.
I think with the Caitlin Clark, like the whole thing with that, right? They actually did a good job with her. So I'm saying if they did that same thing with a lot of these other players, granted, Caitlin Clark puts butts in seats.
Of course.
Simple as that.
Yeah, it is.
This whole rookie class between the Brinks, the Reese, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, like all this, like this rookie class is freaking phenomenal. It's actually bringing a lot of love back to the game of WNBA basketball that people. I grew up watching the Monarchs win. I
was a practice player for the Monarchs. I think we talked about that last, but a while ago. I played against Cheryl Swoops when she was
crazy.
Yeah, I was.
But I love the direction they're going. I just think they have to figure out a better way to market the players more, because all we're seeing is a lot of Caitlin Clark, which I love it.
Yeah.
I love it because they're bringing notoriety to the game. But I think also, too, you got to figure out a way to intertwine the two. And because, like, they gave Caitlin Clark such a rough schedule to start, which I don't think is fair. Right? They're, like, putting her up against all the juggernauts right away. And I'm like, dang, you can't even let her, just breathe a little bit.
And she's a rookie.
She's a rookie.
At the end of the day, there is a learning curve. I do agree with that when Taurasi, when she said that take or whatever, like, there is a learning curve. I don't care how good you are. Everyone can't have the Magic Johnson story where you come in as a rookie and win an NBA title. Like, that's just not not common, especially nowadays.
Right.
Well then, where do you think the WNBA might be progressing now. You know, if everything stays on the road it is now.
I see it progressing to be. I don't know. It's the part of marketing that I want to focus on is the time of the season.
Okay.
It's during summer,
Right.
which is like it's a very odd time where people are usually free, but not a lot of people know what time the games are.
Right.
NBA does a very good job at promoting games, national televised games, things of that nature. I think they have to figure out a way to not put the season the same time as the NBA. But I don't know, because during the summer, I tend to forget, like, oh, shoot, so-and-so's playing right now. I forget. I want to watch it, but I forget.
Well, because, too, people take trips.
Right.
You know, people are spending time with their families. And, you know, sporting events are usually family events, right? But summertime is when people are ready to take vacations.
Exactly.
So you're right. That is an interesting argument because, yeah, but I guess then what time to see? Because you couldn't put it in winter because football.
That's what I'm saying. So it's how can I say this? It's at the right time. It's just not at the right time.
Right, I know,
like,
right?
That's something that makes the most sense.
And it's cool because, I mean, obviously, the Bay Area, they're going to have the Valkyries.
Okay.
Right? They just making a new WNBA team there.
Fire.
I mean, I think, we'll see. Hopefully, there'll be some more WNBA teams progressively in the future. Obviously, hopefully, Sacramento gets one again. You know what I mean? Which would be good to have. But yeah, it is a tough. I agree with your argument. It is tough there with the timing of it because, yeah, this is just a time in which people are available, but they're not available.
Right. Literally, that's how it is. So I think, but the direction they're going, I think it's phenomenal. I think they're in the right direction. Caitlin Clark has definitely helped a lot.
Yeah.
She deserves a lot of the credit, not the. She's been getting a lot of backlash from the vets and all that, which I mean, like, it's cool because you want to compete, but at the same time, like, I would be thankful. Like, you know, she's bringing more eyes to the game of basketball, which I love to play. And
it's funny because I've even seen, you know, just on my IG, just social media browsing, and like, I've friends of mine who used to play ball or whatever, you know, around my age, and even they've spoken out on their social media platforms, just saying like, we're not jealous of Caitlin Clark, and it's like. I judge actions, obviously, more than words, and I'm like, you all might say you don't have an issue with it, but when you're out on that court, sometimes it looks like y'all are trying to really seriously hurt her.
Exactly.
And you could say, oh, well, it's just a basketball player. It's just coming from basketball. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I mean, you know, I can't tell somebody's intentions, but when I see something recurrently happen over and over and over and over again, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. It makes it questionable, right? And I don't understand, and I don't want to get into this territory of man-woman thing, but, you know, I don't know. I don't know if it's because, you know, some women resent that they've been in the league longer and they haven't gotten the popularity she's got. Maybe there's some resentment because she is getting deals that they're not getting access to, but I don't know. To me, that just ride the wave. Like that's my simple answer to it. Just ride the wave. Like I was just the final thing on this is what on the USA team, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't pick her obviously, and they were like, you know, she's good, but she's not quite good enough. I mean, Gilbert Arenas, obviously, he said a lot about that, which is I don't step into his territory. His takes are wild.
Gilbert Arenas, baby.
Man, his takes are wild. Yes. But overall, he was just saying like, who cares? Like, if she's good or not, you know she's going to put butts in the seats, and it's going to make everybody else more marketable, makes it
100%.
Everybody else look good. Would you agree with that one? Because I do. I agree with it.
I agree. I'm like, I like, if you could find a place for Christian Laettner on the Dream Team,
right?
Find a place for Caitlin Clark.
I mean, what, J.J. Redick was with Kobe and his team. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, and
then also too, like what Angel Reese is doing, she's actually dominating right now. She's playing great basketball as a rookie. And then I want to also shed light on Asia Wilson. I mean, she might be the greatest basketball player I've ever seen in the women's game. And that's up there with the likes of Taurasi, Stewart, Suber, all those greats. Yeah. Asia Wilson is like she the real deal. I've watched her play and I said, like, that's a good brand of basketball right there. Good brand.
And like, for me, I definitely try to encourage what I've been trying to push for now, especially in my AU program. I do try to push some of my young boys and especially the girls, because we have a girl side of YBA, and I really try to push them to say, you guys should watch the WNBA more. You should support them, because we just all inherently we're going to watch the NBA more, especially because we obviously have an NBA team here. Right. They're going to watch the Sacramento Kings, right? That's their lens to all that. But it's like I try to encourage these young girls, these young women to go support the WNBA, because that's just the reality of it. Again, y'all could take this as a hot take. I don't think it's a hot take. I think it's just pretty common sense. But it's like, if you women out there want to see your fellow women athletes thrive, you got to go to the games.
That's it.
You got to go to the games or watching on TV. Like, TVs look at ratings. They do. Like, just so in case people are kind of ignorant to this, like 1 point in a rating means I think like 1 million or something like that are watching, right? So that's how networks look at viewership. And so if they're seeing, we have a WNBA game going and it has 3 points, then they understand, okay, 3 million people are watching it. That's something they can build off of. Just complaining about some of these things that have been talked to like a dead horse about, the pay gap, or, women's basketball need to be paid like men. It's like, you guys got to understand the money, the revenue has to come from somewhere.
It's come from somewhere, right?
So I encourage a lot of people all the time, but especially young women athletes, go watch some WNBA. Go support them. Just watching the games helps. Going to the games helps. So especially when the Valkyries in the Bay start up, like, go to those games. It's a 2-hour drive. Like, just take the 2 hour. You'll do it for the Golden State Warriors. You would. So take the 2-hour drive and go watch the girls. Like, go watch the women's and go support them. So that's my whole soapbox deal right there.
I feel that.
I wanted to talk about the USA thing. 1 sec. Gotta do my sound effect for this one.
Okay.
Hot take for this one.
Okay.
So, like we were talking about a little bit before the show, so there's been some controversy with the USA 17U team.
Okay.
The key word being used is nepotism. I'll allow you guys to kind of look that up. But the quick version is a lot of people are basically just saying, because there's a lot of NBA players, kids, sons on that team, that basically basketball is become a semi-elitist sport now. Very similar to what tennis used to be before the Williams sisters were there, right? Or golf, right, before Tiger Woods, and just basketball has become more and more of that elitist type group in there.
Right.
And there's the argument of, there's one side of it where the people are like, that's not fair. They're getting looked at before my kid. It used to be the trenches sport. It used to be you grew up, in the most impoverished places. You rose up from the ashes of poverty to become great. There's story after story of that, guys in the league. We all know that, the DeMar DeRozans, all that shit, right?
Right.
It's like, but now, you got Boozer's kids, you got Reese's son, you got Bryce James, the list goes on.
Carmelo's son.
Yeah, like, the list goes on and on, right? So in case you guys are listening or curious, do I have a personal problem with it? Not at all. I don't have a problem with it at all. I think, and Marcellus most likely agree with me on this one, sports aren't meant to be fair. It's inherently meant for the best competitors to get ahead. And if an NBA player's kid has advantages that unfortunately your kid might not, it's on kind of your kid to figure it out and overcome it, because that's how a lot of us got here. You know what I mean? And of course, yes, let's also make this clear. You have to be born with some genetic gifts. But let me give you guys an example. If you're watching, or you're watching this on YouTube or watching us live, I'm 6'5", right? Marcellus, how tall are you?
5'8", 5'9" on a good day.
Exactly. But we both play college. You understand what I'm saying? So and I'm 41 years old, so it was very different for me than even it was for him. But so was my road a little easier because I was a 6'5" wing forward guard? Sure. Is his road maybe a little harder? Sure.
Yeah.
But we both got there, and we both had to figure it out, right, through the trenches, right?
Right.
if I could have had a dad who was in the NBA and could make some phone calls and, do some things, like, could that road been a hell of a lot easier? Absolutely, right? So, I don't know, just what's your take on all this, or where do you sit on your side of the argument on any of this?
I'm piggybacking on what you said. Basketball or sports in general, professional sports is not a fair game. Sports aren't a fair game. If you have resources, of course, I would definitely, if I had all the resources like LeBron James had, I would make sure my kids had those resources. Now, I'm not handing it out. They still got to work.
Yeah.
Ronnie and Bryce still work. Carmelo's son still work.
Yeah.
The Boozer twins, they still work.
Right.
So it's still work at the end of the day. But if I have the resources and the connections to speed that process up and make it easier on them while they're still working hard, I mean, you'd be a fool not to.
Right.
There's no handouts no more. So, I mean, that might look like a handout to you, but their parents have worked hard to put their kids in a position that they didn't have to go through, which is paying it forward, and the kids are taking the opportunity to be the best version of themselves. There's a lot of NBA players with sons that didn't pan out.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the GOATs.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, that's the
right.
I mean, that's obviously a key on both his sons, and only one really made it to college.
Yeah, one
right?
play I think at University of Central Florida or something like that, or South Florida or something like that. But I think it's not a shoe-in.
No,
just because I have the resources doesn't mean you're guaranteed. You still got to put the work in. Like Gilbert Arenas' son is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, I had a chance to play, or my team played against at Made Hoops against Jamal Crawford's son.
Oh, JJ Crawford, hey, real deal.
Yeah,
Will Conroy Jr. Real deal.
I got said. And my 6th grade played against Isaiah Thomas' son. Yeah,
but they be in the gym working.
Yeah,
they be in every team he plays for. They're in that facility working with him.
Yep. I mean, it's again, my advice to parents, kids out there, like you can't get around the work. And yes, there are going to be those around you that have certain advantages and certain nods that you don't. But, I mean, if you really want to really look at the other side of it, think about all the guys that are making it from overseas.
Right.
Like, think about the hurdles they have to go through.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? You guys think Giannis, I mean, when they come out with probably Giannis's 30 for 30 story, I mean, that dude went through a hell of a lot to get where he's at. And, Luka's, all of them, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, can it, from, I guess, the outside look in, just look like, oh, NBA players, kids just have it easier? I talked about that a lot with Stojakovic's son, Andre, when he was on the show. We talked about that straight up. I just said, how do you feel about it? What is your perception of, oh, you're just an NBA player, something like? And he was very mature young man, but he was very candid with it. He was like, yeah, people think I have advantages and all that, but they don't realize like how much work I put in. They don't know that I'm in the gym 6-7 hours a day. And yeah, my dad provides me with trainers and all that stuff, but I still have to do it. Right. So that's my word of advice for you guys is, man, don't worry about what the next person's doing. Just stay in your lane and when you get on the court, at the end of the day, you're all basketball players.
Right.
And it's just who made a better man win.
Yep.
Right? Like, you get on the court, man, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm pretty sure you have story after story of where you're against such a, hey, I don't care.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
line it up.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like, that's just how it is. Like, so with the progression of where basketball seems like it's going, right? The quote unquote elitist and all this, that circles me back to, there's the argument of overseas players. I don't know if you've seen that one, how they're saying like overseas players are taking over the league or whatever, so slowly but surely, because there's more, they spend more emphasis on practice than games, right? Do you have any points on that or any thoughts on that?
I think that's the best formula to be successful. The thing with AAU culture, growing up, we would play 3 games a day every weekend, it seemed like. And if you lose, you might play one on the Sunday, the championship day, whatever the case may be. But the more I look at their product, you got to think, they play, once a week, maybe twice a week, practice throughout the rest of those days. You're actually able to fine-tune a lot in between those games, so you're not just playing, barely practicing. So you're not really getting better necessarily for the long term, which our culture's doing. We play so much, practice so little, but they practice so much, play so little, and their product has been very dominant as of late. I think that's kind of a writing on the wall to show that it works.
Right.
But the NBA can't do that financially. We
Right.
can't go from an 82 season to a 50-game season and with more practice.
Right.
I get that. But I'm saying more so from the development standpoint.
Yeah.
They develop so much better because they're actually able to work and practice more than play.
All my teams, for instance, all of them practice at least 2 days a week. And again, that's really like 3 to 4 hours, right? Which ain't much in a week. Obviously, I encourage my kids and my families, do more, do extra. Obviously, I train with me. Just put in work. Even if it ain't with me, just put in work, please. But what I see in AAU culture, again, is just me, being in the heart of it. Kids and parents jump from team to team.
Yeah.
They are always looking for the next best thing. They're always they'll put their kid on 3 or 4 different teams. And me, I tell my parents and kids, I think a kid only needs 2. And that's just my personal. I think a kid needs like a work hard team, which is usually their like elite team or whatever. I hate using that word, even though why? Because everybody's elite, right? But I'm just saying that's their like super competitive team where they got to fight for minutes, they got to fight for position. They really got to work, and then they have their experiment team. I call them their experimentation team, which is kind of like, let's say you have a D1 team, you're a 7th grader, you got your D1 travel super elite team, then you got your like local at home Division 2, Division 3 team where you can get in your bag a little bit, try different things, experiment, right? Because you're the best player on that team, right? I think that's all a kid needs. But nowadays, I mean, there's a lot of basketball whores out there. There's a lot of jersey collecting. Like, do you have a opinion or a standpoint on that? Do you think, or if you had, if it was your son or daughter, how many teams? What do you think is the best process for that child, your child, to become the best basketball version of themselves?
So 2-part answer. The first part is, I might sound crazy saying this. I honestly, if I have a son, I hope he doesn't want to play basketball.
Okay, fair
But
enough.
if he does want to play basketball, I'll provide everything I can for him. I'm never going to force it on him. Second part of it, I'm going to more so focus on the work, because playing so many games didn't work for me, so I can only go from experience. So for him, I think the work, playing a little bit, but also just more of the work, working on your body, watching a lot of film and all that stuff, I think it's going to play more dividends than playing a lot of games. Because I can still have him go to open gym, open runs, still play against the best of the best. He doesn't have to necessarily travel and play all over the world. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. You know what I mean? Also, I although I do think basketball, you have to play for a while to acquire a lot of skill. But that doesn't mean travel and just put all these miles on your body as a kid. Same for like youth football, tackle football. I think it's beyond. It's just beyond me to put my 5, 6, 7-year-old in tackle football from that age.
No.
Doesn't make sense. But for basketball, I can see it. But for me, if I have a kid, if I'm blessed with a son or a daughter, they want to play basketball, I would provide them and say, hey, these are the pros and cons of playing so much and practicing. And, I'll give them, the whole spiel rundown. But I would promote working more than just going out and playing, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I did because I did like a small, one of my IG car videos on that, talking about that, like talking about the why do travel basketball, right? And the biggest thing I provided, I just said, listen, it's not, I don't think you need to travel, to these crazy destinations like twice a month. Okay, we go to Miami, then we go to Texas, then we go to Vegas, then we go to, like, you don't have to do all that. But like for me, I plan it out like, let's say once every 2 months, once every 3 months. We're going to take a big trip to kind of see where we measure up, right? Let's just, like, for instance, I'm taking my 4th, 5th graders to LA this weekend. This is their first, like, trip, period, like this. You know what I mean? I've taken them to the Bay a little bit and Sacramento, right? Let's say they go out there and they get, they go 2-2 or, 2-3 or whatever. They're kind of in that middle tier. Then we take that information. We say, okay, this is how we did on the national level, right, when we played against teams from all over. And that gives me something as a coach to give them to strive for and build upon, right? And then 2-3 months, we circle back, we do something big like that again, right? Or if we're lucky enough, something big like that comes to us at the grounds or, something like that. So that's what I use it as. I use it as a measuring stick to kind of see the progression of where my kids are at and for them to see it too. Because let's put it like this. Let's say my kids, like I have a really good 7th grade group. I played them at freshman last weekend. Keep in mind, freshman.
Right.
And this is my 13-year-old. We beat both teams by 60.
Gosh, dang.
You know what I mean? So it's like, how can I get them? Because they are. I got this one kid named Ken. He's like 6'5", true 13-year-old, not a holdback, nothing like that. This kid, he's really good. He's really good. His dad actually played professional. So, but he's under a lot of people's radar because his dad's like, he ain't getting no social media until 16, all that stuff, which is fine.
I feel that.
So I'm like, cool. But like, basically, you know, with this group, I have to get them out there a little bit because they got to see. Like, you know, last time we went to LA, we did the Adidas Championship. We lost in the championship. You know, now granted, we played a team that clearly has some older kids, but I tell my kids, so the fuck what? You just got to deal with it. You know what I mean? You just got to play. Yeah. And we ended up, I think, losing by like 11 or something like that. And I still said, this is a great weekend because every game we played was a battle. We didn't win by I think the biggest margin we won by was 6.
Okay.
Every fucking game was a battle to that championship. Yeah. So I said, that's a good trip. Irregardless of taking home the trophy or not, that's a good trip.
Yeah.
Because if I just put them in hardwood every weekend, and keep in mind, I played them at freshman, and we're still winning by 50, I can't have my 13-year-olds going against 16 and 17-year-olds because now we're talking about physical danger, right? Because even though they're good basketball players, they're good for their age, they're still in 13-year-old bodies.
Right.
Right? I don't want a 16-year-old, 17-year-old going full, you know, steam at one of my 13-year-olds, right? So that's my recommendation for you coaches and you guys. If you're trying to figure out why to travel, in my opinion, just use it as a measuring stick to see the progression of your team, right? So I think that's the best way to do it.
I like that.
I appreciate that. I try to teach on the show a little bit or give as much advice as I can.
Yeah. So
for you, well, let's talk about what's, you know, new and up and coming with you. I mean, like you said, you've been doing your podcast, you do your reaction channels, you do. I mean, I see it from afar. You do the 3-on-3s, the commentating, the everything. I mean, again, and I strongly suggest check out the first episode years ago when we did that, and see where he's at now in this episode, and you guys will see like now you kind of get where. And just so in case, like my relationship with him, I coached him. I was an assistant coach at ARC where he's coaching now with Georgie, and I was his coach for a time there before I progressed into this AAU side of things. So for me, watching him go from that to where he's at now is amazing. But I definitely would say for you guys who are watching and checking it out, check out that first episode and then come back to this one and you'll see like all the progression you've made. Yeah. But you know, what's new? What's the next step, or what you got in the works?
A lot of things right now. Just run through it. Coaching, of course, on the side to eat up a lot of the free time I have. And then, like I said, getting into this commentator role, into this hosting, into this analyst role, because I really love talking basketball. Like, that's really what I love to do. So I watch a lot of. Every day I'm watching Stephen A. Every day I'm watching like JJ Redick. I'm really studying. More so I study a lot of Stephen A. because he's been doing it the longest. Yeah, I think he's the greatest at what he does.
Nice.
Whether you agree or disagree with what he says, he's really good at being an entertainer and knowing a game. And then aside from basketball right now, I'm getting into government contracting. Okay. So I just waiting to get my cage code. I just sent the rest of my documents in literally an hour before I came here. And so basically what people don't – long story short, what government contracting is, it's, let's say Chris provides a fencing company. He builds fences, and the government is seeking out some fence work for a year. And I'm like, hey, man, what would you charge for X, Y, and Z to do it for a year? You give me your price, cool. I throw my money on top. I'm the middleman, delegating the contract. I write the proposal, send it to the government. They accept it. Now we're locked in for a year, getting automatic payment every single month.
Nice.
And then I'm your invoice, the subcontractor invoice me. I paid him. Yeah. And
so you're basically working the middleman.
That's it. But I'd rather do something like that where I can make money because you can get a limited amount of contracts. I know someone right now who has like 35 active 2-year contracts. Wow. So now you have more freedom. I rate freedom. No. I rate success based on free time. Okay. So however much free time you have, that's how I feel like that's how successful you really are. Because if you're working 18, 20 hours a day, per se, over exaggerating, are you really that successful? Because a lot of your time is delegated to your business. When you really want a lot of your business to delegate the free time for you. So
Yes.
like, I don't want to have to work all these hard hours to make the money.
Right.
So that doing the government contracting, been studying that with my boy UC. We've been studying that literally on the phone, like bi-weekly. We'll have long like hour conversations, just checking in, making sure we get all stuff together. But it's a fun process, and it's something new. And if I can attack that, which I know, if I can kill that, which I know I'm gonna conquer it, that's gonna help a lot in terms of freeing up a lot even more free time to do what I want to do. So
no, that makes sense.
That's what's new.
I mean, yeah, like because that's one thing I was going to ask you, is kind of being in the tier of the content creator, basketball content creator space. If you had to give or gauge a strong shelf life for that, right? Like, you know, just like anything, just like in the rap game, just in sports or whatever, everything has a a time period. You have your prime.
Yep, maximize that.
And then you maximize the hell out of that, and then eventually you're going to, the next person's going to step up and you're going to go into your retirement phase or whatever. So for content creation, what would you think is like the most or the best shelf life you can get out of that?
It depends on what you do.
Okay.
If you're going to do solely basketball, there's a shelf life.
Right.
That's why I challenge people, if you're going to do strictly basketball, man, you have 2 to 3 years to figure out another niche within basketball to then elevate your brand. You can't just do, let's say I'm doing basketball training for 2 years. I'm recording it as video proof or using it as content. 2 years later, I can't say, okay, I'm going to do the exact same thing for the next 2 years. It's not going to work that way because time grows, kids grow, everything evolves. So for me, it's like I look into, like I was doing stuff in the backyard, then I elevated right into reactions, and I went from reactions to a basketball talk show. Then that in the middle of that, I had a podcast. I see a lot of people that do what I do, and they're so caught in the middle of like, well, this has been working for me, so I'm just gonna spam this for 2, 3, 4 years, and I'm like, you're not maximizing your audience because then you're gonna lose their retention.
Right.
If you're doing the exact same thing over and over and over, so you can't, it's like beating. It's like punching a brick wall. It's not gonna move. Eventually, it's never gonna move.
Right.
Like you might be like you're getting somewhere, and then after a while, you hands is broken and all that because you're literally doing all the work that you were originally doing. You're not progressing to get past that brick wall. Find a way around it. Everybody want to go straight through without finding their ways around it. Yeah. To still maximize their profit within this business, and that's very huge. I was even talking to Drifty J about that. I was like, with the AU stuff, like there's gonna be a time scale with that, right? I don't know how long. It could be 2 to 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you also have to understand how to elevate your brand, so it's not just that the whole time. Add different, sources of revenue to what you're doing in the content space. So to answer your question, it just depends on what kind of content you do. Like for me, my shelf life, I give myself 2 years before I have to elevate and try something else, just because I want to challenge myself. Right. And I'm never gonna know unless I try. So
and you've been good about that. I mean, anyone who can see, like, again, you've been very consistent and good about doing that. And people who listen to my show or know my I try to be good about trying to get my content out, but obviously my main niche is coaching, right? Just coaching and helping the next generation, helping the kids. This is just a side project for me, you know what I mean? And it's a side project I enjoy because I am fortunate enough to sit down with people like you who can hopefully give these young guys some tips and help them progress in their field. And understand, again, I say this on the show all the time, this is why I do this, because I want to give you guys, I guess, the free game, the advice to hopefully help the next set of parents, to help the next set of kids, and I want to give you guys people who are not who are living it. You know what I mean? They're not just talking about it; they're living it. So Marcellus is a great example for you guys to kind of look at and observe and say, hey, you know what? I might want to try this space. Let me see his formula. Let me see what worked for him. Let me pick his brain and take pieces. I said it when Ryan was on the show from touch shooting. I said I do this to humanize you guys. You know what I mean? Because they know Marcellus the personality, right? But I want people to know Marcellus the person, the human.
Love that. I think too, also an ad, just quick thing is a part of that, like shelf life and just work ethic. I think to be successful as an entrepreneur and in this life, you have to have a very high risk tolerance. Like your pain tolerance, some people have a high pain tolerance, but for risk, you have to have a high risk tolerance because you're going to fail more than you succeed. Absolutely. And I think people will hit one ounce of adversity and say, oh, I'm gonna go back to what's comfortable. It doesn't work that way. You gotta be able to take risk every single day. Every minute of the day, you gotta take a risk with something because you never know what you might be good at that you never knew you were good at.
Right.
So you tried it.
No, 100. Well, like you said, that's where faith and family and hopefully those reinforcements. And if you're lucky enough to have a really good group of friends and people who really care about you and want to help you, like that's where that comes through.
Right.
So, well, let me get this. Sorry if you're watching live. Gotta get my phone real quick.
That's good.
I memorized most of my questions,
Oh,
but
you did a great job because that's when you had a laptop in front of you.
Yeah. That's why I was like,
hey, growth.
Yeah, exactly. See my growth. I memorized a lot of it, but I was like, okay, I gotta do better as far as remembering everything.
Right.
Let me see. Get this out. Oh, sorry, Joe, my phone. Okay. Where is it? Okay. Oh, okay. So my next question is for your audience, in general, especially obviously the kids love your stuff, they just love your content in general. But well, the biggest thing I was gonna say, how do you keep your energy up? I mean, how do you just, I know for me, there's days I don't feel like getting out of that damn bed, so I can only imagine for you. Yeah. But what's still keeping you motivated, keeping you going? Obviously, again, I like when I watched you at the De'Aaron Fox camp, and obviously shout out to Marcus. I know you went to his free camp, and I think that was really good, Marcus, what you did there, man. It's
Thanks.
like how are you keeping your energy up and staying motivated to do this day in and day out, man?
It's simple, man. No one's gonna do it for me, so I have that mindset every day I wake up. No matter what I do, I know if I give a half-assed effort, that could be the one time someone watches me for the first time and they say, oh, I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
So I always keep that in mind. Like, there could be a first-time viewer out there. What are they gonna think of me after they watch this video? I got to be high energy. I got to be entertaining, and somewhat got to be kind of funny.
Right.
Because a reaction video is kind of like your own stand-up comedy show in a way.
Yes.
So you have like your own little, like I have my own little thing I do in the intro, midway through, in the outro, and stuff like that. So that part, I think, that's what keeps me going. And secondly, I'm very good at maximizing time.
Okay.
So what you may see looks like a lot of work, but I might maximize it and compartmentalize it in like a 2 to 3 hour span.
Right.
So if I just spend 2 or 3 hours a day on something, rather than working an 8-hour job, I can do that.
Okay.
I can do that.
Right.
So that's how I keep the high energy. Of course, a lot of water intake. I work out every day now, so
good.
All my endorphins is super high.
What about your diet? Do you try to?
I'm vegan. I've been
you're
vegan for
I didn't know that. Okay.
since 2019.
Oh wow.
Even when I was on the show last time, I was vegan.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, I think you did mention that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I've been vegan. I'm on, been working out every single day since December 28th. Weightlifting, cardio, put on about 16 pounds, just all natural.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how I keep the energy up. I wake up looking I wake up knowing, one, I have to serve my wife.
Yes.
Right. So that's something I always look forward to.
Smart man.
Right. Shout out to my wife. I love her. But yeah, I think waking up knowing that I get to serve someone who loves me unconditionally, I think it's one of the most influential things and is motivational for me. So that's 90% of the battle right there. I wake up knowing that I get to serve others and my wife, and everything else is a choice. You got to choose to have effort in anything you do. So how I'm feeling can't overweigh a choice.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And no, I get it, and makes sense. Like, let me see.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
No.
How I'm feeling. Yeah, how I'm feeling can't overweigh how I choose to act.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, well, like in our space in this basketball community, and this is a question one of the bigger questions I want to ask you too, because me and Marcus talk about it a lot. I definitely feel, and maybe you might feel it in your lane too, but I don't know. I just feel like you guys don't necessarily have some of those same issues. But like in the AAU basketball world, in the training world,
Right.
just deal with a lot of hate and sack. You know, people just kind of hating on each other, or, you know, talking bad about each other, and just all that type of shit, man. And you know, I don't like it. I don't participate in it. I don't, again, everything I say, even if it's negative, or, you know, me just giving constructive criticism, whatnot, my critique or whatever, my opinion, I do it on this show. I do it to people's faces. I talk as a man to another man, and I'm never in a disrespectful way, but I'll just say, hey, man, I don't like the way you move with this. That's your
right.
thing, but this is just my opinion about it. But it just does seem to have this feel that Sacramento is just really divided in that sense with the AAU and all that stuff. Do you have any thoughts on that, or how we could maybe ever bridge that gap, if ever, or if possible? I mean, just curious of your thoughts or outlook on it.
Yeah, Sacramento basketball culture is pretty terrible. I say that because I've been to Seattle twice in the past, like 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. Every time I go out there, I work out with Will Conroy Sr., and I work out with Marquise Chris, and I got the opportunity to work out with IT. Yeah. And it's just the environment they provide for their basketball community. They don't care who's training the kid, where he's from. If the gym is open and he wants to get working, anybody's welcome to pull up. And I think that's what is missing from the Sacramento hoop scene. We don't have that mecca of, like, if I pull up to Seattle now, even though Will Conroy's not there, I'm sure he'll make sure I'm good.
Right.
Regardless of where he's at, because he's now at USC. Congrats, my dog.
Jamal Crawford's there too.
Yes.
Yeah, Jamal. Yeah,
Jamal Crawford, Nate Robinson, IT. All those guys, like, every event, they pulling up showing love for their guys in the community. Right. And I'm like, that's what we're missing. But I think the way to bridge the gap is kind of to be involved in the community. So now I'm actively involved into the ARC. To the junior college and ARC. Yeah. So it's like I can go and help that community.
Right.
And then we have people in the high school scene, like my guy Barry, and then we have my boy Drew Cobb, who was at Sheldon, but he now just got another opportunity in SoCal, which is can't pass up opportunity.
Right.
He got, God bless him immensely. But I'm saying even he can help filter in from Sacramento, because now he has a way of, like, hey, I'm at this certain stature out here. I'm not gonna give his information out because he'll probably announce it himself. But it's a really big opportunity for him. So I think that's the best way to do it, is be in the community, be involved, be in the scene as much as possible to help the community, and then you can bridge the gap yourself. Like, I can start the own culture. You can start, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we can all start our own thing, but we have to have someone who's very in the city, in the community, at these places.
Right.
We didn't have that at AR. We don't really have that at JUCO in general in Sacramento. So I wanted to change that whole scene. Mm-hmm. My thing is, I when I recruit kids, I tell them this. I say, hey, to be quite frank with you, I don't care where you play. If I can help you go play somewhere, I'm going to do that. You don't got to play for me at AR for me to help you.
Right.
If you're a Sacramento kid, specifically, I want to help you regardless of where that's at. Go play for the best case scenario. Like, go play where, is best fit for you, where you're going to play. But at the end of the day, if I can help, you need my help, reach out, you got my number.
Right.
If I'm recruiting you, it's not just for a transaction to come play for me. I genuinely want to see you play at the next level.
Right.
And that's my goal being an AR. It's not just to worry solely about the AR guys, but to worry about everybody in the city.
Right. No,
I think that's how you bridge the gap.
No, it makes sense. I mean, it's pretty interesting because, with this, I talked about this my last episode with Jordan Ford. I got to push that episode out, but we talked about we're in a real interesting spot when it comes to college basketball and professional, because colleges right now basically want you to be older. Right. Yeah. They want you to be, 19, 20, 21, 22. Because look at, the NCAA last year, you got 27-year-olds, 28-year-olds, 26-year-olds, right? But the NBA still wants you young. Because you have the Wembanyama's who came in at 19. They still want you young. So it's very tricky right now, because obviously reclassing is a huge thing. Right. That's just a part of AAU and part of basketball culture. And yet, quite honestly, I tell parents, if you reclass, you're more or less hurting your kids' chances to make it to the pros. But obviously, we know that's a very, very astronomically small percentage of people that make it.
Right.
But, of course, there's still some of those who think, like, no, my kid's going to the league and stuff. So me and Jordan talked about just how that interesting dynamic of colleges want you older, but pros want you younger.
Right.
So I was like, I guess the right formula would be, okay, reclass my son in 6th grade, and then when he gets to high school and hopefully he's killing at high school, reclass him up like Cooper Flagg did, right, to get him back on track age-wise. With you being at the JUCO level, and where I'll circle it back with that is, you know, D1s, especially top-tier D1s, they're not taking high school kids, not very many, right? Again, unless you're an NBA player's kid or, you know, you're really just that good, right? So I've stated this on this show and said it numerous times that, you know, JUCO is the new D1. You know, I mean, a lot of kids that might have supposed to be at a Division II or mid-tier D1 or whatnot, they're going to most likely go junior college, which makes junior college that much more competitive, that much harder.
Absolutely.
But at the same time now even more competitive because these spots are just that much harder to get. Yeah. How are you like learning, like your learning curve, being now a junior college coach, being a part of that field, just kind of learning the player development, all the stuff that you're going to learn as a coach.
Yeah.
You know, how are you taking all this in and adjusting and learning and seeing all this transpire around you?
It's been kind of crazy. It's been actually an easy adjustment period because I didn't go into it cold feet.
Yeah.
Ever since I stopped playing, I've been watching more film than ever.
Okay.
So it's like I've been learning. I thought it was just for no reason. I was just like, I just love watching basketball more after I was done playing, which is weird. But Georgie called me like April, might have been the 2nd, 3rd day of April. And he's like, hey, man, what you doing up this early? I was like, oh, man, I'm up 6 a.m. every day. I walk the dog, go to the gym, work out. So that's my schedule for the morning. And he was like, okay, well, have you thought about coaching? And I was like, yeah, when I have a kid eventually, I was like, I might dibble and dab in it. He's like, well, man, the position open, I want you to be my lead assistant. And I was like, okay. I was like, interesting. Okay. I was like, let me, you know, long story short, I was like, let me go ahead and digest this, talk with the wife, and just see what's best fit. Because it's not a lucrative job. No, right? You're not getting rich doing this. You're not getting rich doing this. But my thing was, I'm huge in the serving business. As a man of God, I love serving kids in a position that I was in that exact uniform, in that exact gym, under that exact same coach. So I said, who can relate better than a player who's played at the, you know, the highest level of ARC? I was one of the best players in the program's history. Yeah. That can help these guards, because a lot of JUCO, you're going to get a lot of guards rather than a lot of bigs. I can help them reach the next level that they want to get to. So I sat with it literally for like three weeks, and I called him back, and I was like, let's just do it. So I jumped off the bridge and did it, and I haven't regretted it since. Nice. I haven't seen out $1 from it. I don't even ask. I haven't even done my paperwork yet. I'm just there every day, every Tuesday and Thursday we practice because it's off season right now. Right. But it's so gratifying to see them get better. It's not for my own gratification. Right. I mean, it's not for my own, how can I say it, satisfaction. Yeah. I love genuinely seeing them get better at the game of basketball, because a lot of them think they know what it takes. Right. Now, I tell them this. I remember I was at the end of practice one day. I was telling them, I was like, if you want to be a point guard at the next level, a point guard, you have to be the most selfless person on the floor. Absolutely. The me, like head down, all that as a point guard, automatically to the bench, because you have to worry about the 4 guys they're out there with you, the bench, what the coach wants, and how to read a game and react, because it's all so fast. Yeah. So I tell them that there's no time to feel sorry for yourself. You come very dead last in the pecking order, while also being first in the pecking order in a sense. So a lot of them have to understand that, like, I'm like, there's no time for the my bads. It's next play. We're going to get it right, even if you make a mistake. Right. There's no time for that. So
you got to keep going.
That's kind of what I'm teaching them, even like when your guys Brent right now. Like, just all teaching them, like, you're going to make mistakes. Absolutely. But there's no time for a my bad. The moment you're saying my bad, you're wasting a split second getting back on defense. Mm-hmm. And Coach Georgie's not going to like that. No.
So we know. He'll motherfuck you if you don't get back on defense.
Immediately. But, I think jumping into this has been one of the biggest blessings. I guess I'm huge in the service business, so this is fun. And they're actually going to let me document the whole season. Oh, nice. So it's going to be like a ghetto version of Last Chance U.
Hey, Deshaun will appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, they're letting me record everything on the road, locker room, all that. So, that's going to be very – and it provides more exposure for the kids. Yes.
That's what I was
after a
gonna say.
Netflix season, it's actually keeping up per season. So there's gonna be more film for them to send out to coaches, which I think is gonna be phenomenal.
And that's the name of the game. That's one. Well, got a few more questions to ask you, but that leads into my next question was, with the way basketball and media have now become very intertwined, between highlight tapes and the different exposure sites, like Ball is Life being the biggest one, but you could say Ball is Life, Overtime, Simply Basketball in our NorCal area. You got Beach City Hoops for the SoCal area. Like these, and again, that's another, in my opinion, capitalism at its best. People are finding their niches and finding ways to financially make things work for themselves, and have good, businesses. This is what, the idea is. Small business makes this economy function, right? So I'm all for it, but like I said, nowadays basketball and highlight culture and media are very intertwined now. You know what I mean? Even more, in my opinion, more so than a lot of sports. Even though it was a joke, but it got to the point where referees were making highlight tapes. You saw that. So I'm just saying that just shows how ingrained media and basketball are now.
Right.
Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, obviously depending on your perspective. But I just want to speak on this aspect of it. Do you think kids, especially youth kids, are playing more for those highlight tapes rather than playing to win the game? Because I'll say in the AAU youth side of it, I see that sometimes. Coach Brandon Barnes, I don't know if you've seen some of his stuff. The coach from Bakersfield State, he talks a lot. He probably ran across.
He talks in the car.
Yes, talks. He's another really good dude. Me and him actually really become friends. We've become pretty close in terms of just we speak in the same language, but in a different space, right? So I'm talking to AU, he's talking college, but our views are very similar. But he literally talked a video about this, saying, dude's coming up for a dunk. I'm watching guys literally in live periods move out the way because they don't want to be on someone's highlight tape. And he's like, that's a surefire way to get cut for me. Because I want the guy that's willing to go up, play defense. Like if he's trying to dunk it hard, I'm trying to block you just hard. He said match aggression with aggression, right? And I will say, even for me on the youth side, I am noticing more and more that kids are kind of trying to shy away from defensive plays because they don't want to be on someone's tape.
Right.
Like, just curious your thoughts on that type of shit or those type of things. You know what I mean?
I think we have the content creators has a little bit to do with that. I'll say that. I definitely would say a lot of kids want the highlight tape so that their favorite content creators might see it, react to it, comment on it, and all that. And I think that's kind of hurting the game of basketball a little bit, but also adding a little bit of parody to it. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of fun of games because I don't want the game to be so serious all the time at a young age. Be a kid.
Be a kid. Absolutely.
But there's also a time and place. I get that. But I'm all for kids being kids. Now, when you get to college and high school and you trying to do that, all right, bro.
Yeah.
Now you have to figure out, like, what are you really doing it for? As a kid, you're doing what you're watching.
Right.
So you're seeing these kids celebrate a certain way. You're naturally going to gravitate towards that. So I can't even knock them for it as part of how social media has been. So maybe it's up to the parents maybe to say, hey, no social media, no YouTube until a certain age.
Yeah.
And then they might not even react that way. So, I'm huge on kids being kids.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get to like that 14, 15, 16,
you got to start, if you really want to be.
You really want to play college basketball.
You got to take this a little more serious. A lot more serious, I would say.
There was no time for celebrating when I was playing college. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Especially at the D2 level. No.
Yeah. No.
Not a chance.
Because while you're doing all this and
then you look at the coach, and then you look at the scores table, someone's already
right there waiting for you. Like, you know it's
come have a seat, man.
With the basketball coach. Well, what are your thoughts on, like, because obviously Drifty and Cam and they've kind of made fun of doing this. What are your thoughts on these troll teams? Because I'm gonna be real with you, because I had to coach against them a few times. It pisses me off. I don't be real.
When they play in the game,
like when they're playing, like it's a it's a normal hardwood weekend.
Right.
Now it's not like if it's a big event or something like that, like you said, when Drifty and those guys get these 5-star guys and they're doing. I'm fine with that. Totally
Yeah.
fine with that. But I mean, like, let's be real. It's a copycat program. There's guys that are going to copy you, copy him, copy. And so they, you know, they come in to these games. They put numbers on their T-shirts. They use markers, and, you know, they just got some guy filming, and they're just doing a bunch of dumb shit, taking half-court shots. Like, I'm taking my kids to really play a game. Win or lose, we're trying to learn. We're trying to, you know, experiment, things like that. Unfortunately, because they see guys like Drifty and yourself and any of these guys do this and get some views and some, you know, notoriety from it. Oh, I got to fucking copy and try it too. It pisses me off. You know what I mean? I'm just be honest with you. It pisses me off. It's like I remember one game, I stopped playing the game because we were up like, it was like 65-5, and they were just throwing these hook shots from half court, and just kind of one kid started barking on the ground like a dog. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's funny, like, but I'm like, okay, yeah, now you're just wasting my parents' time. And then what sucks is because Hardwood doesn't necessarily know. You just you log in your team on the website and you just put in a name. They don't know. Right. So I don't know. I'm just curious. For someone who has seen and been a part of that, what do you think about all that? It's
tough. That's what the kids love to see, but if you're paying money to be at a tournament, that's kind of not what you want to pay to play in. So I see both sides of it. I don't really have a strong stance on it because I haven't seen it so much.
Right.
But I will say it's like WWE. You know, don't try this at home.
I agree with you on that. I'm telling you, man, like, my parents was ready to beat the hell out of their kids. They was like, I done paid my entry fee. I done all this.
Right.
I'm like, hey, man, I don't know. Before we get out of here, I did want to talk to you, okay? You know, Mark's a Lakers fan. Got to talk about the Lakers.
Okay.
We got to talk about this.
Okay.
So we have J.J. Redick as the head coach.
Yes, sir.
He signed a 4-year deal, if I'm correct.
Yep.
There was definitely one meme and argument that I personally thought was pretty good outside of and this is outside of his experience and all that shit. We'll get into all that. But it was they were talking about Sam Cassell and how he's been an assistant coach for years. I think they say 15 years, and he's won rings on teams and stuff, obviously. But yeah, I think that, like, if there's anybody obviously deserving, it doesn't necessarily mean they have to be the Lakers job. I'm just saying in general, like, you got a guy like this who's been working his butt off and probably deserves a head coaching spot. But then obviously J.J. Redick, kind of fast forward and whatnot. I don't know what to make of this because, again, I've listened to his podcast, me personally. I've listened to his shows because I'm always listening to different podcasts to try to enhance myself. He is intelligent, very, very intelligent, very articulate person. He does understand the game at an extremely high level.
Right.
But how will that equate to an NBA team in the locker room? I don't know. Right. You know, so I don't really – I guess I'm not a Laker fan anyway, but I'm a Warriors fan. But I guess I don't really have a strong standpoint on it. But I am – it's interesting. That's just what I say. It's just interesting.
It's tough because I saw the Sam Cassell thing, and immediately what I thought was it's kind of childish.
Yeah.
But they probably were like, you know what? We're not going to hire a Celtics coach. Like, there's,
I know, right?
Like, you want a championship? I'm not going to hire a Celtics
That is
coach.
true.
That's
that
probably what
true.
they're like. Really, they're like anybody but Sam. Sam has to go somewhere else for a year.
Go somewhere else,
then
he'll come here. Yep.
So that's immediately what I thought. But with J.J. Redick, I think it's super dope because I think he's a player's coach.
Yes.
Like, in a good way.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a good sense of culture there because I think people are going to respect him. Although it might be a little weird because your best player and coach had a podcast.
Yes.
Past tense because now they don't because he's a coach, of course.
Right.
But I think it's something new, and I think if they see out the contract, it'll make sense. Yeah. If they give him 1 or 2 years and like, yeah, we're done, then, you know, for JJ, good payday.
Yeah.
I go
absolutely.
right back to ESPN, do whatever, you know, I can do whatever I want to do now.
Right.
But I think I like it personally. I actually like that because I think Mark Jackson had a similar. He
was a commentator and, you know,
got to the coach.
You know, ESPN personality, what you call it, and then he jumped on the Warriors and basically sparked what our dynasty became. So no, I agree. I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I seen some reports saying that the Lakers think that they got like a Eric Spoelstra-esque type of mind, which I can see.
Yeah.
Also, too, it's a very first time coach into the hardest professional team to coach in sports, not just in basketball. I think the Lakers are the hardest professional team to coach for because of everything that comes with it. You have arguably the greatest player of all time on the current roster. You have the fan base. You have the pressure of winning banner 18 to tie the Celtics now.
Right.
So it's like it's all this, or is it 18 or 19, whatever it is. I think it's
they have Celtics 17. Have 18.
Celtics have 18.
Lakers have 17. Yep.
Right. So to tie the Celtics now, so it's a lot of pressure, but I mean, it makes for good entertainment.
Yeah, no doubt. It's sports entertainment.
Sense. Literally, it makes sense.
Right.
Money.
It does. It's sports entertainment. So I that's what I'm saying. I get it. Like, and what about the whole, and everybody's talking to this, beating it to a dead horse. I hate to even kind of comment on this, but I feel like I guess I got to jump in on this one a little bit, is obviously Bronny.
Today's day.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's so many, kids are like, oh, he's NBA ready or he's not NBA ready. Everybody has these takes on it. Look, man, I don't know what the hell's going to happen to this young man. I just think, he's got to stay his lane, stay his course.
Right.
Do you think he would end up on the Lakers?
From a financial standpoint, it would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to put way more butts in seats seeing Bron and Bronny on the floor, right? At the end of the day, sometimes the entertainment business is just that.
Exactly.
Right? So sometimes it has to make dollars and cents. Will he get drafted, though? Not sure, because they hold, I believe, the 17th, no, something like that, and the 55th pick or something along that nature. I don't know. I pray he gets just drafted in general, because just hearing your name called is probably one of the greatest things to experience. I was able to hear DJ, my boy DJ Wilson, in 2017 when he got drafted. We were all in the hotel room at the Sawyer, and just hearing his name called, I'm like, I can only imagine like him right now. Like, we see it live, and he walks out the room all cool, calm, collected. I'm just like, in his mind, he's probably thinking like, this is like, I'm top 17 draft pick, like this is. And then Giannis became Giannis, so the situation was a bad situation. But anywho, I think Bronny, I give them this analogy. Different players. Peyton Watson averaged, I believe, 3 points at UCLA, came off the bench, but he's also 6'8". Can't teach that.
Yep.
Bronny's about 6'1", 6'2", average about the same amount of points. But I'm like, some players are just meant for the professional basketball scene. Peyton Watson wasn't really a great college player because he was meant for the NBA.
Another person I thought of too in that same vein is OJ Mayo.
Yeah,
he was a solid college player, but everyone said his game was more predicated for professional level, and obviously he did do well in his prime. Unfortunately, got kicked out of the league for whatever reason, but like he, during his time, OJ Mayo was, his game was built for the pros.
Right.
Yeah, that's another interesting storyline to see where that ends up going.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, me too.
For him, just like I'm rooting for Jared McCain and Jalen Wells, two Sacramento
that's what
products.
I was going to say, Jalen. And the cool part is I've been talking to Jalen.
Yeah.
He said he's down to do the show, which is great. Like, thanks, Jalen. Shout out to you after the draft, obviously. And I told him, I said, hey, do you focus? I get it, man. Like, so but that's just really cool to see a Sacramento kid like that, his road. Yeah.
High school player of the year to Sonoma State to Washington State to the league.
Right, like that.
He's guaranteed getting his name called. I don't know his first, second round, but he's getting his name called.
I agree. And it's like people don't know how. They just don't understand how hard that road is. Right. So that's the big reason why I want him on the show, because I want him just to talk about it. Just say, look, man, if you think this was easy, like, let me make this very clear to you, like how hard you got to work.
Absolutely.
Sacramento itself, I think, is in a good basketball spot in terms of, just the different options we have out here. We have a million AAU teams, which you can say is good or bad, but we have a lot of good stuff.
Right.
Period. Going on in Sacramento basketball, but outside of speaking about the divided part or whatnot, what would you like to see, if anything at all, kind of pushed to the forefront in our basketball community in Sacramento?
I would love a Sacramento Hoop Fest.
Sure.
However that looks, make it happen. IT does it every year. It's called the Zekend, he brings like NBA players to play, and then you could
That's for you.
Yeah, thank you. And then you could like pay a fee to get your team in the tournament, play 3 games, but you get an opportunity to play against NBA players, and then you're playing in the city. It's free for the fans to come watch.
Yeah.
We need something like that, of that stature, of all ages, come together and just celebrate basketball Sacramento style. We don't have that. I think that's what we're lacking.
Yeah. And
I mean, that's going to build the community
I agree
immensely.
One, and then also, shout out to Gus, because I almost forgot to mention that. The Pro-Am League, the SPDL, which is going on right now. Saw a lot of cool, highlights and stuff from that. And obviously, and that's at Fortune High School.
Yeah, it just ended this past week.
Yeah, so, shout out to you guys who hooped out there. I saw DT, saw Ryan, saw Kent Bays, all you guys, man. Like, keep doing your thing, man. Like, it's just good to see that level of basketball being played out here. Again, it's like I said, it's just in an interesting spot and in a good spot. At the same time, we just got to see what's the next evolution going to be.
Right.
Do you yourself think at some point, like you said, maybe when you have kids yourself and whatnot, but could you ever see yourself maybe wanting to step into this AAU game and, maybe coach in this arena, or you just going to kind of wait and see?
I always say I never leave no stone unturned, so I would love to try everything.
Okay.
Just to make sure that it's not that.
Yeah.
Like, if I always have my speculations AAU, but I definitely want to try it sometime down the line. Just say, okay, I tried it, and if I like it, I'll keep doing it. But if I don't, then I at least say, I tried it.
Right.
That's my biggest regret, not trying to play pro basketball for a year. Just to say I tried it.
Right.
So that's why I always say I'd never leave no stone unturned. I want to try everything before I say, nah, that's not for me.
No, it makes
well,
sense.
Let me paraphrase. Not everything.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
I know I get what you're saying. I know exactly what you mean.
Not everything. Just so that makes sense to my moral beliefs. I'll say that. Okay, there we go. I want to clarify that one.
Let me see. Well, my kids keep wanting to stare at you because they see no kids I coach. So, I want to also. Well, what was it? We're talking about. It was one more goddamn question. My kids made me lose my train.
That's all good.
What, son? What? Hi, son. Hi. See, this is the type of energy he brings, man. They just want to stare at him like,
yep.
What's he doing there?
Yep.
No, with your level of success and what you've been able to do with your platforms and the people you've been able to reach. I mean, is it still exciting for you? Like, just going out there, traveling, shaking hands, just meeting people, talking to people. Does it still feel, just as invigorating as day one of when you started noticing, like, oh, people really starting to notice who I am? Do you still get that same feeling?
Same feeling. Never changed. It's a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I have a responsibility out there to be the same person no matter what. Never let nothing change you. So for me, it's another opportunity to always be my best self when I see kids or even adults that mess with the content or what I'm doing. Like, that's cool. That's awesome. But at the end of the day, it's not always about me. It's more about how I impact them.
Right.
So if I can impact them in any way, I think that's the most important thing. So that's the dopest part about it. It's not shaking hands, taking pictures. It's actually having a conversation with them.
Yeah.
I'm not the type of person that does like a quick transaction. I want to have a conversation with you, see what you like, see what you don't like, and make you feel like more of, like, how can I say this? When you meet your favorite stars, basketball, football, celebrities, actors, whatever, and you'll ask to take a picture, it'd be like a quick transaction. I don't want to be that. I want to be a person that actually gets, hey, what's your name, man? What do you like to do? What do you like to get involved with? I don't want to be that, like, I'm too good to have a conversation with you because that's not serving. That's not fully serving. So I want to be able to provide entertainment. And then if I see you in person, I want to be able to serve you and, for your needs and ask you, like, what you're interested in. That could have, that little conversation could have motivated them.
Life.
Change their whole life. They could have been going through something crazy that day that I don't even know about.
Right.
But the conversation, I'm not saying I'm that strong of a personality where, like,
no, but you never know who you can impact.
You never know who you can impact. You can impact somebody too. There's no follower amount that that limits that. It's just you can impact anybody on a conversation day to day, and it doesn't matter who you are. So that's how I always go about it. So it's never a dull moment. I love it. I love it every single time.
So and then. 2 more questions, then we'll wrap this up.
Yep.
But one is, so Jamal Crawford had a really you know, he went semi-viral, or should say not even semi, he did go viral for. It was after like the Made Hoops winter season, he made a post talking about how parents have made AAU basketball, you know, difficult. He said, you know, he's kind of stated, you know, alluded to kind of what you were talking about as far as, you know, there's a lot of problems in AAU basketball. There's a lot of great things, but there's a lot of problems.
Right.
He said, but at the forefront, it's really parents, and parents not just kind of letting the process happen. And, you know, again, I was talking about it when Jordan was on the show, just how crazy it is like even former NBA guys are having the same complaints as myself. Crazy. And it's like if you're, as a parent, arguing with Jamal Crawford, who's played the game at a high level, can play the game, or Isaiah Thomas, or like
at the highest level.
At the high, like if you're arguing with them, like they don't know what they're doing, like I don't stand a chance. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you were able to send a message to these parents, because again, they even might look at what you do and say, you know, oh, my kid wants to kind of go the same path as Marcellus over here doing the content creation and the YouTube channel and the reaction stuff. Like, what would be something you would say to the parents, or advice maybe you can give to the parents to help ease their minds or help let this process work?
I always say this, let the person who's working work. Like, I don't come into your job and tell you how to coach and what to do, you know what I'm saying? So I think it has to come with that same energy. But it's tough because basketball is one of the most intimate sports in the world. You can see all the facial expressions. You can literally, at one moment, someone can come diving into the crowd on you. So you thought you have the right to say however you feel about these players and these coaches, whatever the case may be. But my thing is if I have a kid, and I hope I can stand to this when I have one, because I don't know what it's like to have a kid, right? I don't know. But if I put him into an organization where he's, you know, being coached, I'm gonna let the coach him, and then, excuse me, now I'm gonna say my piece once we leave. I'm a firm believer in that. Like, while I don't believe in voicing my opinion, because I've seen it, I've been a part of it. You know, I've been a part of families like that. And, you know, even my dad, he's a tough lover, and he'll let me know how he feels about how I'm playing right then and there.
Right.
So for me, it's like I'm not gonna put added pressure onto my kid. He has his coach yelling at him, then he has me yelling at him. I might be giving him a different message than what the coach is giving him. 100%. It's a lot. So I think parents need more self-control at all levels to understand that the coaches have to coach, whether you agree with it or not. You put your kid in that program for a reason, whether it be whether it be AAU, high school, middle school, whatever, even college. Yeah, you have to let your kid grow in that field, and then you can give your input in the car on the way home. I think that's when it's not required, but I think that's when it should be accepted. Constructive criticism while they're playing, even to coaches. My college coach always said there's a 24-hour grace period. Yeah. He would actually allow parents to come talk to him after 24 hours, though. Yes, so if you disagree with how I'm coaching your kid in college, by the way, which is crazy, on scholarship, if you have a way that, if you feel a way that I'm coaching your kid, we can have a discussion 24 hours, never after a game. Right. And usually after 24 hours, parents tend to cool down.
Yeah, because emotions are high.
Emotions are high. Obviously. That's just my message to parents, man. Let your kids grow in all facets, especially me going to junior college, because I know I'm going to have to deal with it this year with parents thinking their kids should be playing. And
of course.
I'm brutally honest. So for me, I don't need no 24-hour rule. I was like, I'll come tell you respectfully. I'm like, look, this is what's happening. Since you want to yell at me on the court, we can have literally an adult conversation. We can go to a separate room, whatever the case may be, but have a legit conversation, because I don't want this conversation to die down and continue over to the next game. That's how I am. Yeah, but I do like the 24-hour rule because it doesn't give you time to cool down. Right. But I think just attack it head on and say, hey, what are you upset about your kid for? You know, I think having dialogue is big too. But yeah, parents, man, I think you got no time and place. That's it. Time and place.
And then my last question for you is for the kids. For the kids or athletes who are either going to listen to the show, check it out on YouTube, maybe saw a little bit of the live, whatnot. Whatever space they want to do in this basketball spectrum, whether it be as a player, content creation, basketball reactions, you know, street hooper, whatever. Right. Like, because you've kind of, again, just done it all, quite honestly. What advice could you give them, or what advice would you give them? You know, you're sitting down with your, what you say, your 15-year-old self. Yeah. You know, what advice you giving to them?
What would I tell my 15-year-old self that advice? I think a good thing for me, like a good rule of thumb, would be always have a high level of preparation whatever you want to do. Whether that looks like for you, whether it's storyboarding, whether it's writing down something in a journal, preparation is the best way to succeed. But that looks different for everybody. So I would always say be prepared for every single thing in life, although you can't be prepared for every single life at the same time.
Right.
But control what you can control. There's nothing in life outside of your emotions that you can actually control. Stuff may happen in business where you might have a down month, a down week. Your content may not be as successful as you thought it would be. But the one thing that you can literally control in life is the way you respond and react, and how you how you respond and react verbally, physically, in public. I think that's very huge because everybody lets their emotions get the best of them. Even in this business, like I've been there. I've been there where I'm like, man, like
it's hard because you put your passion into this.
Right. I'm passionate. I'm competitive.
Right.
Don't be too competitive to where it gets in the way of your own success. I've been there. But yeah, I would definitely say control what you can control, which is your emotions to every situation. And then lastly, I think I would say is I got to throw this in there. I don't know everybody's religious beliefs.
Of course. Well, I'm Christian. We share that.
Yeah.
For sure.
I would say whatever you praise to or you pray to, I definitely keep them first, keep God first. And for me, that's what's been working for me and my family. Ever since I've been married, I've been blessed immensely. It's like honoring God while honoring my wife. So my advice to the kids, why I'm saying that is if you honor your craft, like you honor your relationship with the Lord or whatever higher believing you believe, I truly do believe it's not a prosperity gospel. I think you'll reap the benefits if you stay loyal and you have the faith with the work to go along with it. It's kind of like sanctification and justification all mixed into one. So, So kids out there, can't cheat the work though. I'll tell you that. Can't cheat the work. Okay? It don't work that way. You can't buy no bots and views.
No, you cannot.
And expect to see the success.
Right.
You got to go through every emotion, every feeling with this business. You dig what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And it ain't for the weak. And then when you make it out, oh man. Celebrate. Go ahead and pull you up some apple cider or something. You know what I mean? I don't drink, so go ahead and pull you some apple cider and celebrate all victories. That's what I never did until later in the game. I didn't celebrate all my wins because I was like, what's next? What's next? Celebrate every single win, whatever that is. Maybe it's going out to get ice cream, going on a walk with your spouse, with your friends, going to the hoop and playing at the park. Anything. Celebrate everything you do.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I also have breaking news, by the way. We have breaking news. Breaking news. Right? Two-part.
Okay.
Mikal Bridges to the Knicks.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Just happened just now, 30 minutes ago.
What?
OG Anunoby intends to sign a 5-year, $212 million contract with the New York Knicks.
Oh, wow.
He's staying a Knick, playing with Mikal Bridges they just traded for. The Knicks are freaking loaded.
They are. It's going to be interesting.
And to do the math on that, you know what I'm saying? I want to give you the math on that. You know what I'm saying? That's about $42 million a year.
Jesus.
Now, I'm going to give you even further. A trivia question. Who is that paid more? Like, who is he getting paid more than in the NBA? I have a list of names right here, literally ready to go.
Like currently? Now?
Currently, in the 2024-2025 season, he's getting paid an average of $42 million.
Well, Jaylen Brown was the most paid, right?
Right.
So is he getting paid more than him? No.
It's $42 million. He's now, I'll give you the names. He is now being paid more this next season than DeAndre Ayton, Desmond Bane, De'Aaron Fox, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, SGA, MPJ, Jamal Murray, Brandon Ingram, Zion, Ja Morant, Darius Garland.
Wow.
Those players make between 34 to 36 million. He's making 42.4 million. He has now entered into the top 25 contracts era.
That's crazy.
Insane.
That is insane.
Insane.
Well, and also shout out to Malik Monk.
Hey. Thank you for taking less, because you're definitely worth way more than that.
Shout out to him, man. He got a great $78 million contract, but he decided to, I'm gonna stick it out. I'm gonna stay loyal to the process, and he's here, man. So yes. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you, man. Have me on.
No, thanks again, Marcellus, for coming through. Again, I will have links in the description to his social media, so please go follow him, see his journey. He's all over TikTok. He's all over YouTube. He's much bigger than myself, but no, I still appreciate you being here as always, man. It's always good to see you, bro.
God.
I'm very proud of you as always. Very proud of your success, and as I get older and grayer, I will still be proud of your success.
How old are you again?
I'm 41.
Damn. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
Oh, man. But no, thank you guys for listening. If you stayed, heard the whole episode, checked out the whole episode, you're a real one. Again, do the HBO special, hit that subscribe, help a brother out, and we are out.
Peace.